When a CEO invited a janitor to her party, an amazing life-changing bond was revealed. In a world where wealth often defines worth, Emily felt the weight of her promotion like an anchor pulling her down. At 32, she had become the youngest CEO of a cutting-edge tech firm, yet whispers about her privileged upbringing at the country club followed her like shadows. The office buzz was relentless, questioning her accomplishments and undermining every late night and early morning she poured into the job. Outside, the skyline twinkled with promise, yet inside, her heart felt heavy. Across town, Jim scrubbed floors and tidied offices in the dim light of the night shift. His late 40s frame carried more than just the weight of a mop. He bore the responsibilities of a single mother at home and a curious young daughter dreaming of a brighter future. Hard work was his mantra, instilled in him from childhood, and he clung to it fiercely, yet he felt trapped in a cycle of struggle. So when Emily's grand celebration was announced, he hesitated. The thought of stepping into her world, with its glamour and glitz, made him feel out of place. But hope for his daughter's future won, and he RSVP'd. On the night of the party, Emily's downtown loft transformed into a vibrant swirl of laughter and chatter. As she mingled, Jim stood awkwardly in the corner, feeling the too tight grip of his best attire, wishing he could blend into the walls. The guests floated around in designer outfits, sipping cocktails, oblivious to the realities others faced. But behind his nervous exterior, Jim's resolve hardened. He needed to network. Maybe this evening would gift him a chance to change his family's fate. Just as the night seemed to climb into an ecstatic crescendo, an entitled voice cut through the air. A colleague, smirking, made a derisive comment about the cleaning crew, turning Jim into a spectacle for the room's amusement. Gasps echoed, and the laughter shattered, leaving an icy silence in its place. Emily felt her heart race as she stood paralyzed. Where did her loyalties lie? To the friend who represented the world of privilege she had fought so hard to earn, or to Jim, a man whose quiet dignity fueled their very foundation? In that heart-pounding moment, her own values came crashing down around her. Gathering her strength, Emily approached Jim. "I'm sorry," she said, sincerity washing over her, "please tell me about you." It was a simple question but loaded with meaning. Jim's shoulders eased as he shared stories of his family, touching on his passion for woodworking, a practice he dabbled in just as a child. Emily leaned closer, captivated, and their conversation transformed from a CEO and a janitor to two souls connecting on dreams too often crushed by societal lines. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as hope began threading their lives through that shared moment, Jim's phone buzzed urgently. The screen lit up with a message from his daughter's school. Panic swept across his face, the weight of his burdens crashing back in. In that charged atmosphere, both felt the fragility of their connection. Would they dare to bridge these vast divides in their lives? Would understanding grow from this moment of genuine human interaction, or would reality pull them apart once more? The night crackled with the possibility of change, leaving them both pondering the future in the silence that buzzed all around. Emily's heart sank as she saw the desperation creep into Jim's expression. The message on his phone wasn't just any alert, it was an emergency notification. She could see the confusion mixed with alarm on his face, and it shook her to the core. She had just begun to break down the walls between them, and now reality loomed large, threatening to sever the fragile connection they had only just forged. "Jim." She spoke softly, aware of the tension in the air. He looked at her, his eyes slightly wild, which made her want to reach out and comfort him. That fleeting moment, where they were simply two people sharing a raw conversation, felt suddenly more significant than any of the resumes or status updates that filled her typical soirees. "My daughter." Jim's voice cracked slightly, revealing the weight of his worries. "She's in trouble at school." He glanced down at his phone again, fingers trembling as he ran over the details. "I need to go." There was no hesitation. The urgency of family trumped the allure of this glittering event. Emily could see his mind racing, torn between an obligation to his job and the overwhelming need to be with his daughter. "You should go," she urged, feeling a pang in her chest. She wished she could just grasp this moment and hold on to it, but reality had a way of crashing into dreams, and for Jim, this was one of those moments. Without another word, Jim turned to leave. Emily felt an impulse to follow him, a desperate need to protect someone who had just shared a piece of his life with her. But instead of rushing after him, she took a deep breath, knowing she needed to let him go. She wouldn't be the force pulling him into her world tonight. Instead, she would offer him something perhaps more impactful. "Wait!" she shouted, the crowd's chatter pausing momentarily as heads turned to see what was happening. Jim stopped, confusion mingling with gratitude in his eyes. I want to help," she finally managed, the words feeling heavy but necessary. "Let me drive you." The offer hung in the air, bold and unexpected, particularly in the context of an environment that thrived on status, not compassion. For a heartbeat, Jim studied her. There was disbelief, then surprise, and finally a glimmer of hope that flickered in his gaze. You would do that?" he asked, and for once, the doubt wasn't clouding his voice. Rather, it was laced with sincerity. "Of course. I mean, I can't just let you go, especially if your daughter needs you." Emily felt a transformation surge within her. In standing up for Jim, she had rekindled her own purpose amidst the relentless pursuit of ambition that had often left her feeling hollow. This was why she wanted to lead to make a difference, however small it might seem. As they stepped out of the lively loft buzz and into the cool city air, Jim's expression began to soften, relief breaking through the tension. As if they were stepping across an invisible line, joint responsibilities unveiled the truest realities of their lives. In the quiet spaces of that drive, amidst the winding streets, Jim began to share his daughter's struggles and fears, the words pouring out steadily as if they had been waiting to be spoken. Emily listened, her heart swelling with empathy, realizing that this moment held deeper meaning than either of them could have anticipated. With every mile they covered, an unspoken understanding formed, knitting the edges of their lives closer together. But then, just as they were closing in on the school, Jim turned serious, the weight of unacknowledged fears resting on his shoulders. "Emily, why are you really doing this? You could have easily turned the other way," he asked, his voice gaining a tremor of vulnerability. She looked over at him, their eyes locking, and within that moment, the air thickened with possibility. Caught off guard, Emily felt the truth flicker inside her. She sensed that her own journey was just beginning, intertwined with his in a way that neither of them could yet comprehend. She took a deep breath, ready to spill her truth when the horizon suddenly exploded in vibrant lights from the school that loomed ahead. What would happen when they reached the school? Would Emily step into Jim's world and become part of his struggle, or would this fragile bond shatter under the weight of their realities? A new chapter unfolded before them, full of unanswered questions. As they approached the school, the atmosphere shifted. The building before them pulsed with chaotic energy, illuminated by flashing lights cutting through the velvety night. Parents gathered on the sidewalk, worry etched across their faces, and Emily could feel the tension radiating from Jim as he clenched the steering wheel tighter. Just stay with me," he muttered, more to himself than to her, but the urgency in his voice struck Emily. They parked quickly, and as Jim leaped out of the car, she followed suit, her heart racing. "What's your daughter's name?" she asked, trying to keep pace with him as they rushed towards the entrance. "Alex," he replied, his features taut. "Alexandra. She's 15. In that instant, Emily felt a sharp sting of empathy. This girl was someone's daughter, someone's whole world. As they stepped inside the school, the overwhelming noise of teachers and administrators wrapped around them like a thick blanket of tension. It felt surreal, this crossing from a world of privilege to one of fear and vulnerability. They navigated through a small crowd, and Jim blasted past a cluster of other parents who were conversing anxiously. I can't lose her, he murmured under his breath, his anxiety reverberating in Emily's ears. Jim, you won't lose her, she said firmly, stepping up beside him. Whatever's going on, you're here for her. That counts for everything. He gave her a fleeting glance, gratitude surfacing in his eyes before they were quelled by worry again as he approached the principal's office. The door stood ajar, and a heavy silence draped itself over the room. Mr. Callahan? A teacher called as they entered. We're just finishing a meeting with Alex's counselor. The look on her face spoke volumes, and for a moment, Jim's world looked as if it was crumbling. Emily stood back a bit, giving him space but remaining close enough to offer support. She watched as he spoke with the principal, his words tumbling over one another, frantic yet resolute. All the while, Emily's heart ached at the sight of this strong man breaking down under the weight of a father's immense love. Before long, the principal motioned them to sit, and a calm descended as they waited for Alex's counselor to finish. Emily noted the ticking clock, each second stretching painfully long. She glanced over at Jim, grappling with a mix of hope and despair. The rawness of the situation had laid bare life's harsh truths right before her. Jim, she's going to be okay, Emily whispered, attempting to bolster his spirits. Somehow, her words felt inadequate sitting in the silence, weighed down by the dread pooling in the room. The door opened, and a counselor stepped out. Her expression was somber but compassionate, signaling that perhaps they were ready to share what was going on. Alex is dealing with some significant challenges, she began, eyes flicking to Jim. We're doing everything we can, but she needs support. As the counselor shared the details, Emily found herself holding her breath. She realized how fragile this entire situation was, how quickly lives could spiral. They discussed bullying, struggles with mental health, and the need for understanding. Each revelation drew Jim's features deeper into worry, and Emily sensed she was witnessing something deeply personal. When the counselor finally finished, Jim remained quiet, his mind churning. Emily could see the battle within him, the father fighting for his daughter amidst a storm he felt powerless against. I can help you through this, she said, her voice steady. We can figure this out together. His eye caught hers again, and for a moment, everything hung in the air: fear, hope, connection. She had stepped into his world, and whatever battle lay ahead, they would face it together. But then a faint voice broke through the tension as the door pushed open once more. Dad? It was Alex, appearing small and fragile, stepping into a space filled with concerned adults. Just like that, the moment sharpened. Would Jim pull Alex into a protective embrace, or would the weight of the world keep him a step back? Whatever the answer, a new chapter had begun, and everything was about to change. How would they navigate the storm together? Alex's small frame hesitated at the threshold, eyes darting between her father and the unfamiliar faces around her. The room, once a flurry of anxious adults, now felt eerily quiet, as if it were holding its breath. Dad? She repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. Jim moved instantly, closing the distance between them and wrapping her in a strong embrace. The weight of the previous moments lingered in the air, but in this shared space, the fear seemed to melt away, if only for a heartbeat. Alex, I'm right here, he murmured, holding her close. I'm so sorry I wasn't here sooner. I'm okay, she replied, but the tremor in her voice didn't convince anyone in the room. Emily stepped back, giving them their moment, feeling a rush of warmth coursing through her. There was something powerful in that connection, something that said they would fight for each other, no matter what lay ahead. As Jim held Alex tightly, the counselor shifted, her gaze thoughtful. We need to talk about what has been going on. Would you like to sit down with us, Alex? With a nod, Alex reluctantly stepped back, letting go of her father's comforting embrace. She looked so small, yet there was a fire in her eyes, a defiance that belied her fragility. Emily could see the battle raging inside of her. It's okay to feel overwhelmed, the counselor said gently. But you're not alone in this. Jim's hand rested on Alex's shoulder, a silent promise of support. They all settled into chairs, a tight circle of vulnerability and hope. Jim leaned forward, eyes intent on Alex. "Whatever you need to tell us, we will handle it together," he said. Alex's breath trembled. The burden of her experiences lingered, layered with fear of judgment, yet there was a flicker of trust in her gaze. I don't know how it got this bad," she confessed, her voice cracking. "I thought I was handling everything, but then." It was clear she was on the verge of spilling the truth, the real reason she felt lost and alone. As she spoke about the bullying, the isolation, and her struggle with depression, the dam broke, releasing emotions that had been pent up for too long. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the school's darkness poured out of her. Emily felt her own heart race, each revelation hitting home. She thought about her own challenges, how easy it was to hide behind a smile. Here was a girl who needed to be seen, to be heard. "Alex, what you're feeling is valid," she said softly, stepping in. "So many people go through this, and it's not your fault. You're brave for sharing your story." In that moment, Alex looked up, eyes meeting Emily's. There was something there, recognition, perhaps. It was as if, for an instant, the two worlds collided, the vulnerability of youth and the wisdom of experience. Jim's grip tightened on Alex, and Emily could see him processing everything, each word pulling him deeper into the storm. She was determined to guide them through, to remind them they were not alone. As they leaned closer together, Emily noticed the flicker of hope igniting within their bond, and she realized that this family was fighting for their future. Step by step, the comforting presence of their connection filled the room, but there was still so much to navigate. Just then, the counselor cleared her throat, directing attention back to Alex. "We can begin to form a plan, but I need to know, do you feel safe here with us?" The weight of that question hung heavy in the air. Emily held her breath, waiting for an answer that would shape everything. Would Alex feel supported enough to reach out, to accept the help she so desperately needed? The answer was buried somewhere in the silence, and amid that stillness, the door swung open again, a new figure stepping in a shadow from the past that might just hold the key to their futures. What new twist awaited them? The door creaked open, and in walked a tall figure, unmistakably familiar but cloaked in an air of uncertainty. It was Mrs. Reynolds, Alex's former teacher. Her presence sent ripples through the room. The counselor's brow furrowed slightly at the unexpected arrival, but Jim and Alex's expressions held a mix of shock and curiosity. "Alex." Mrs. Reynolds' voice was softer now, stripped of the authority she wielded in the classroom. The warmth in her tone held layers of compassion and regret, as if she recognized the toll the past few months had taken on the girl standing before her now. "Why are you here?" Alex asked, her voice small but edged with guardedness. "I came to apologize," Mrs. Reynolds said, hands clasped tightly in front of her. "I know how hard things have been, and how I failed to see what was happening. I thought you were okay. I didn't realize." The room fell silent again, the weight of the teacher's remorse hanging heavily over them. Emily could see Alex's posture shift, her shoulders tensed, fighting a mix of emotions. Jim's expression tightened as he took in the gravity of the situation. "I don't want your apology," Alex replied, her voice quivering. "It doesn't change what happened. I understand. But can we talk? I was wrong. I should have been more involved. I want to help you find a way forward." "Please," Mrs. Reynolds said, her eyes pleading. That it was at that moment that Emily realized the potential connection forming within this little circle. Perhaps this was the turning point. The adult that Alex had once felt abandoned by now stood ready to offer support. "Maybe," Emily ventured softly, "having a familiar face here could help." Alex looked down, her fingers twisting in the hem of her shirt. A mix of anger and deep-rooted longing crossed her face, but it faded quickly. "You don't get to just come back like this and pretend everything's okay." "I know it's not that easy," Mrs. Reynolds replied, earnestness coloring her words. "But sometimes it is easier to heal when we have the right people around us. I want to be one of those people for you." As the tension simmered, Jim leaned toward Alex, glancing at her. "It's your choice, sweetheart. But you're not alone in this. We're all here for you. Whatever you decide, we will support you. The reminder of shared support pulled at Alex's heart. She felt the stirrings of hope battling against the darker thoughts that had taken root deep within her for so long. Her expression softened slightly, as if she was considering the weight of Mrs. Reynolds' words. I guess, maybe, Alex replied, voice just above a whisper. But it was enough. A small crack had appeared in the wall she had built around herself. Let's take our time, then, Emily said, hoping to lower the stakes. We can talk about it together. Just then, the moment was interrupted by a loud knock on the door. Everyone turned, surprised, as another familiar face stepped into the room. Is this party for Raoul? It was Matt, a classmate who had been part of the group that bullied Alex. The air vibrated with tension, a suddenly electric feeling filling the space. Alex's defenses shot back up, her eyes narrowing. What are you doing here? With her heart pounding, Emily knew this could either be the moment that broke Alex or the moment that helped her rise stronger than ever before. It was a gamble, but she sensed that everyone present was about to confront some harsh truths. What would happen when the past collided with the present? The room felt charged, like a live wire, as Matt stepped further into the space, his casual smile faltering under the weight of Alex's glare. The memories flashed in Alex's mind, cruel words that cut deep, laughter that echoed in the dark moments, and the feeling of worthlessness that had swallowed her whole. She quickly raised her chin, her stance rigid, as if she could physically block out the ghosts of her past. What do you want? She demanded, the coolness of her tone surprising even herself. To see how you're doing, Matt replied, his nonchalance dissipating as he caught the tension in the room. I didn't expect to find you here with them. He gestured towards Mrs. Reynolds and Jim, like they were two pieces of a puzzle he hadn't anticipated. Why are you really here, Matt? Emily interjected, her instinct to protect Alex kicking into high gear. You know what you did. The air shifted, hard and cold, as she challenged him with her gaze. I messed up, all right? He said, frustration creeping into his voice. I came here to apologize, too. I didn't know what else to do. The honesty in his words earned him a few moments of quiet, but it didn't soften Alex's glare. An apology? What does that even mean? Alex shot back, rage blooming in her chest. Do you think that makes everything okay? I didn't mean for things to get that far, he admitted, his tone losing its bravado. We were kids. I was just following along, you know. It was easier to fit in. But I'm different now. I want to change. Silence fell but was quickly interrupted by Jim. Alex, this might be an opportunity, he urged gently, keeping his eyes on her. You control this. You have the power to decide how to move forward. Alex's heart raced. Could she really take a step towards something that felt like a trap? The weight of her anger waged war against the glimmer of hope that had begun to emerge moments earlier. Don't you get it? She spat, her voice breaking. It's not just words. You shattered everything. You don't get to walk in here like it's no big deal. I know, Matt replied, his voice softening. And I regret it every day. But I want to at least try to make amends. What if we talk about it? A mix of emotions washed over Alex. Everything in her wanted to scream and push him away, while something else, deep down, craved the closure that had seemed just out of reach. Could her pain be acknowledged? Would he even understand? She caught Emily's supportive gaze and felt a flicker of confidence. What difference does it make if I talk to you? She countered, her voice steadier now. You've got your friends, your life. I'm not some project you can fix to feel better about yourself. No, that's not it. I want to hear your side, Matt insisted, desperation bubbling beneath his words. I want to understand. The last thing I want is for you to feel like you're alone in this. Every nerve in Alex's body screamed against the idea, but she pondered what would happen if she faced him. Would it feel freeing or suffocating? Was she stronger than the past that haunted her? Before she could respond, the door swung wide open again. A new figure entered, someone she hadn't expected, someone from a time long gone. A ripple of shock swept through the room as eyes fell on the newcomer, ready to tilt the fragile balance in an already loaded situation. "Alex, can we talk?" The voice echoed, sending another wave of uncertainty crashing over her. What would this familiar face bring to the unfolding chaos? Alex's heart raced, a jolt of disbelief rushing through her as she turned toward the figure standing in the doorway. Familiar yet foreign, like a photograph from her past suddenly brought to life. It was Sarah, her best friend from high school, a bright beacon of loyalty and laughter that had dimmed after the fallout caused by Matt and his crew. "Sarah?" Alex whispered, her voice barely grasping the name as it passed her lips. It felt like a word she hadn't spoken in years. "Yeah, it's me." Sarah's eyes darted about the room, taking in the tension thickening the air. I heard you were here, and I had to come. I didn't know if I'd find you." Her voice trailed off, uncertainty creeping in as she locked eyes with Matt. "Do you want to leave?" Emily asked in a low voice, sensing the spiral of emotions swirling around Alex. "No, I need to know why she's here," Alex said, her eyes still fixated on Sarah. "What do you mean you've heard from me?" "I heard from Mrs. Reynolds at the diner," Sarah explained, stepping further into the room. "I wanted to make sure you were okay. I know how things were. I know he hurt you." Her chin tipped toward Matt, a silent condemnation that spoke volumes. Matt shifted uncomfortably, guilt painting his features. "Sarah," he began, but was cut off by Sarah's sharp glare. "Don't even," she snapped. "You don't get to speak now." The room hummed with tension. Alex felt a swell of emotion at seeing her friend, someone who had shared her hopes and dreams, the one who knew her before everything cracked under the weight of betrayal. But alongside that, old wounds twisted in her gut. "Why now?" Alex demanded, her voice steadier than she felt. "After all this time, why did you show up just when I was about to confront him?" I've been trying to work up the courage, okay? Seeing you at the diner last week was a shock. I thought maybe if I had a moment, I could find you," Sarah replied, her voice softening. "But I got scared. And when I heard you were here, I had to come. There's so much left unsaid." "Unsaid?" Alex repeated, a crack forming in her bravado. The desperation in Sarah's voice pierced her heart, stirring feelings she had kept locked away. "What do you want to say?" "You left, Sarah. After everything, you left." "I didn't leave you, Alex. I left to save myself," Sarah shot back, tears glimmering in her eyes. "You know the craziness that went down after all of that. I was scared for both of us." The silence hung thick as the room wrestled with their emotions. Alex felt as if she were dangling over an abyss, trying to decide whether to leap or pull back. Memories of laughter and ice cream afternoons flooded her mind. Sarah had been her anchor during the worst storms. "Look, I just want to know how you are. I thought about you every single day, especially during the nights when the memories crept in," Sarah said, her voice raw. "I miss you, Alex." Alex swallowed hard, trying to process everything. Here was a connection from her past that had been yanked away, now standing before her in the flesh. What did it mean? Did Sarah represent comfort or just another reminder of everything shattered? The air crackled with unresolved tension. Just then, Matt's voice broke through the haze. "Can we all just talk? Maybe we can figure this out together." Alex glared at him. "You think any of this is about you? You've caused enough pain." As her eyes flicked between the two most important people from her past, she felt the weight of choices pressing down on her. Did she hold on to old wounds or take the first step toward healing? There it was, hovering overhead, the fragile thread of hope mingling with the suffocating fear. And then, from somewhere deep within, a small voice whispered, "What if this is your chance?" As the clock ticked down, Alex knew she had to make a choice. But which one would set her free? Before she could decide, she felt a shiver of anxiety. Secrets loomed, and she had no idea how they might unravel. What other truths lay buried just beneath the surface? With hearts beating wildly, they stood on the brink of a revelation, all waiting for Alex to say the next words. Would they shatter their past or reshape their futures? Alex took a deep breath, the weight of their shared history pressing down on her chest. "What do you want from me, Sarah?" she finally said, her voice trembling slightly. There was a longing in her heart, a desperate desire to reconnect, but festering anger clung to her words like poison ivy. Sarah hesitated, clearly attempting to find the right words. "I want to be here for you. I know I hurt you by leaving, but I didn't know how to handle everything. I thought time would help. I thought time." Alex scoffed, her emotions flaring. "Time doesn't heal wounds that you were part of creating. I needed you then, and you were gone." I know, Sarah rushed to continue, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it's not too late for us. We can be okay again. I need you to understand why I was so scared. Matt wasn't the only one who hurt you, Alex. The shadows of that night chased me too." The air crackled with electricity as the past flooded back. The chaos after Matt's betrayal had been like a storm, ripping through their lives, leaving everything twisted and broken in its wake. For so long, Alex had thought Sarah's departure had been a betrayal of its own, a rejection of their friendship. "Can we fix this?" Sarah's eyes were earnest, pleading. "Can you just let me in? Just this once?" Alex's heart ached as memories played like an old film reel in her mind. The laughter, the secrets, the late-night talks. Sarah had been her sister in every way but blood. Was that enough to tear down the walls she had built? Before she could answer, Matt interjected again, desperation coloring his voice. "Please. I want to fix this too. Everything was a mess back then. Nobody was thinking clearly. I was hurt and confused. But I never wanted to hurt you, Alex. I made mistakes. I'm sorry." His apology hung in the air, heavy and weighted. Alex turned to him, uncertainty swirling in her gut. Life had thrown them all into chaos, but could they really work through it together? Would she allow herself to soften, to explore the possibility of reconciliation, or was it just a pipe dream? "Matt," she said evenly, trying to measure her words, "you hurt me more than I can explain. I can't just brush that aside because you say you're sorry. But you don't have to do it alone, Alex." Sarah chimed in. "We can support you. We can all help each other heal." Alex felt the pull of their words, the thread of hope, but fear tightened its grip around her heart. She was so close to finally facing down her demons, yet here she stood, teetering on the edge of a cliff, engulfed by doubts. Silence engulfed the room once more, each of them lost in their thoughts. Could forgiveness flourish? Could she dare to dream of mending broken relationships? The clock on the wall ticked away the seconds, a reminder of the time that had slipped through her fingers. "Maybe," Alex said slowly, feeling her resolve cracking like old paint. "Maybe." Just then, the phone buzzed in her pocket. Instinctively, she pulled it out, glancing at the screen. Her breath hitched as she read the unexpected message from Mrs. Reynolds. The diner owner had news about that night, about something she had never known. Alex's heart raced again, this time with fear and intrigue. What truth had been hidden all along? And could it change everything for them? Alex's fingers trembled as she stared at the screen illuminated before her. The words felt electrifying, as if the universe had pivoted suddenly beneath her feet. Mrs. Reynolds wasn't just a diner owner, she had been a witness to that fateful night, a kernel of truth in the fog of her memories. "What is it?" Sarah asked, leaning closer, her curiosity piqued. Alex's heart raced, the pull between fear and hope tightening within her. She swallowed hard. Mrs. Reynolds, she says she has something to share about that night. Matt's brow furrowed. What night? What does she know? It's about Matt, about us, everything that happened. Sarah looked at her knowingly. You should read it. What did she say? Alex felt the nerves flutter in her stomach, causing her breath to hitch once more. She tapped on the message to open it wide, her eyes scanning through the lines. As she read Mrs. Reynolds' carefully chosen words, her breath caught in her throat. The truth is often buried by silence. Matt came in right after the chaos. Memories surged back, vivid and agonizing. She recalled the confusion, the shouts, the sharpness of betrayal burning through her soul. Had Matt really been there in the diner after everything went wrong? What had he seen? What had he said? The unanswered questions loomed, threatening to overwhelm her, yet a flicker of courage ignited the spark inside. Alex, what does it say? Matt's voice cut through her haze. Just give me a second. She read on, absorbing each word like an urgent lifeline, feeling the weight of their shared past pressing down again. He tried to reach out to you. He wanted to talk, but I told him to leave you alone. I thought it was best, I really did. The realization crashed in on Alex with the force of a tidal wave. Mrs. Reynolds had thwarted what could have been a chance at clarity, at healing. What? Sarah exclaimed, disbelief coloring her tone. You mean, you could have known sooner? Alex nodded, the frustration blossoming in her chest. If only. It's been all twisted and tangled. If I had just. Ugh. Maybe this is a good thing, Matt urged, his voice gentle despite the tension. We can finally face what we've been avoiding. But deep down, Alex felt her chest tighten with doubt. Face it? What if that truth is worse than I imagined? What if it alters everything for us? It can only set us free, Sarah replied softly. We deserve that, right? The air in the room shifted, wrapped in a cocoon of vulnerability as Alex contemplated their words. Could she muster the courage to confront the past? Could she sift through the pain for a glimpse of understanding? As she deliberated, her thumb hovered over the phone, undecided on whether to respond or delve deeper into Mrs. Reynolds' cryptic message. Suddenly, the phone buzzed again. Another message? A chill ran down her spine as she braced herself for whatever came next, uncertainty wrapping around her thick like a blanket. What now? Matt asked, sensing the shift in energy. Alex's heart thudded as she opened the new notification. With trepidation, she read the message aloud. There is something you need to know about that night, something someone tried to hide, and it involves more than just Matt. The words echoed in the room, stirring a storm of emotions within her. What dark secret had been lurking in the shadows all this time? With her heart racing and the air thickening with unspoken fears, Alex realized they were all standing at the brink of a revelation that could redefine everything. Would the truth bring them closer or tear them apart beyond salvation? In the heart of that bustling school, everything felt suspended in time. Tension coiled tightly around them like a spring, waiting to snap. Alex was holding all the cards, her heart racing as she stood at the intersection of her past and a future waiting to be written. She looked at Matt and Sarah, both waiting with bated breath, and knew this was a pivotal moment. The gravity of Mrs. Reynolds' message loomed heavily. Something someone tried to hide. Alex echoed, her voice trembling. What does that even mean? The words were barely released, already wrapped in a swirl of confusion and dread. Matt stepped closer, urgency flickering in his gaze. What if it's about more than just us, Alex? We all deserve to know the truth. Whatever it is, it cannot be as burdensome as keeping silent, Sarah added, her support grounding Alex even amid the storm. We can handle this together. You don't have to be alone in this. Taking a deep breath, Alex felt a rush of warmth from their unwavering support. Okay, she said softly but resolutely. I'll read it. Her fingers danced nervously over the screen to bring up Mrs. Reynolds' messages again. Gather around, Alex said, not just to invite their attention but to build a small fortress of solidarity around herself. She began to read slowly, shock coloring her features with each revelation. As unfinished threads of the past wove back to life, she felt emotions colliding: fear, anger, and the tiniest glimmer of hope. Matt was indeed there after everything exploded. He tried to reach out, but I didn't let him. I thought I was protecting you. The words echoed hollowly through Alex's mind as realization began to dawn. Mrs. Reynolds had protected her from a conversation that could have changed everything. Protecting me? By silencing him? Alex murmured, her voice full of pain. The revelation coursed through her: she had been a pawn in a game that was never supposed to be hers to play, ensnared by the web others had spun around her. But I don't want to live in the shadows anymore, she asserted, lifting her chin. This truth is mine now. Matt's expression softened, a mix of hope and fear swirling within him. We can navigate this together, he said earnestly, softer than before. Whatever's coming, we face it. Together. Yeah, Sarah chimed in, her voice warm. Whatever's been hidden, we can process it. Let us break the silence as a team. With her heart pounding, Alex paused. Why, Mrs. Reynolds? Why did you want to protect me from the truth? Was it about more than just me? Alex felt an ache deep within, a yearning for clarity among all the pain. With a grave expression, Mrs. Reynolds began to respond as if she had been waiting for this moment. Because, Alex, I knew that night how devastating those mistakes could be. I was scared. Scared of losing you both and the potential fallout from your lives intertwining so closely. But protecting you from Matt also meant protecting you from a pivotal part of your life. I see that now, and I'm sorry. Silence draped the room. For a moment, they all processed the weight of her words. Within the quiet gaze of Alex's friends, she felt her own burdens in that moment lightening just a bit. The shame and anger shifted, being replaced by a fragile seeds of understanding. Tears pricked at the corners of Alex's eyes as she turned to Matt, his features betraying a mixture of regret and resilience. I never wanted this to happen, Alex. I was so scared, confused, and lost. But I don't blame you for pulling away. What we did was wrong. Then let us make it right, Alex declared fiercely. But it begins with trust and openness that we haven't allowed yet. A small flicker of determination ignited deep inside her. This moment felt fragile yet full of potential, all intertwined lives awakening from their slumber and colliding with pain bundled in love. And within that room, corners of the world fell into focus once more. Out in the hall, the chaos of the school faded, replaced by the strong warmth of a shared commitment. This was a new beginning, where justice and healing met. They sat together in solidarity, each one sharing their experiences, vulnerabilities poured out, fears, expectations, and apologies mingling in the air around them. In that space, they became more than just players in a past scenario. They were a family, stitched together through truth and compassion, ready to rise from the ashes of their struggles. Days turned into weeks, and slowly but surely, the burden lifted. Alex found herself embracing her power. She talked to her father as well as her peers about bullying, fostering supportive talks in her school while Matt led initiatives on mental health awareness. Meanwhile, Sarah remained by her side, patching old wounds and nurturing a bond that felt more resilient than before. Forgiveness hung in the air, completing the once fractured tapestry of friendship. Emily watched from a distance, still feeling that rush of warmth from the connections she had fostered with Jim and Alex. She, too, took steps to reshape her leadership, encouraging compassion and understanding within her company, setting the stage for a new cultural ethos. And as they all moved forward, the night that once held chaos and confusion transformed into a beacon of hope. The hurt began to fade, replaced by a resolve spanning beyond themselves toward creating something larger, something beautiful and true. And the laughter of kids, the joy of teamwork, and the bond of trust, all of them witnessed a lesson that transcended their individual stories. Together, they could rise to greet the dawn. They had rewritten their futures, each new day a testament to resilience, growth, and love. And for everyone involved, the real treasure they uncovered was not just about healing the past, but about seizing today with unwavering belief that brighter days were ahead. That if you're inspired by this incredible transformation, you need to subscribe now to stay tuned for more heartwarming stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this positivity flowing. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this journey. You matter, and remember to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to hear this message of hope and resilience. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans know the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us spread the love.